What is up, you guys? We are here for our weekly energy oracle forecast, where we are just looking ahead at the week to come to see what kind of spiritual energy and spiritual weather we'll be living in. So let's see. The first card out is support, which, oh my gosh, I never got to listen to my the weekly energy boost, which is one of the Kabbalah Center's weekly podcasts. I really like it. They have a channel on YouTube, but if you go to the Kabbalah Center, I guess, is their account, but weekly energy boost, if you bring that up, then they have a playlist on their channel, but you can look that up. But that's always a great podcast to listen to, because it gets you thinking about the Torah portion correspondences of the week. And I usually listen to that on Sunday, and I didn't get to today, but the Zohar lessons this morning were about how matzah, the spiritual technology behind the matzah that you eat during Passover. And so Passover is on April 1st is the first night. So that's the Seder. And then it's like 7 or 8 days long. It's like a week from bookend to bookend. So that starts Wednesday. So I'm excited about that. But the matzah, there's this miraculous element to it that if you eat it during Passover, during the Seder meal on Passover evening, but also throughout that week, it's like a miraculous technology inside the bread or the cracker gets activated for that week, and it is very healing. And so if you guys see a box of matzah crackers in your local kosher food section, it might not hurt to buy a box, pray over them, and be eating them this Wednesday through next Wednesday, and put the intention that you are taking that matzah in sacred, like you would communion, and even imagine it as being the body of Christ, because Passover was an event that foreshadowed the coming of Jesus, who would ultimately become that Passover lamb that was sacrificed during the Passover feast week after the Seder meal. So not that night, but he was arrested that night or whatever. So that ties together. So if you need a miracle, right? If you want healing, if you want physical healing in your body, or an aspect of your life to be repaired, or some of you have talked about going through recovery and things, and maybe others are wanting to take that step. So this is the night and the week to really allow the Creator to come in and do for us what we haven't been able to do for ourselves. And one of the supports that we have in that is the matzah bread. It is a spiritual technology, so it can be healing towards your situations or to your physical needs as well. So also, while we're touching base on that idea of support, one of the main key takeaways or concepts of Passover is the thing about the matzah is that it wasn't given time to rise. The bread wasn't given time to rise, and it's unleavened bread. So meaning it doesn't have that, is it the yeast that makes it puff up? But the ego puffs up, and it either puffs up by us thinking that we've got this handled. We're the ones in control. We're the ones going to take the action and do the thing. It's by our efforts. Or our ego puffs up and justifies, we hear the voice of God moving us to act in a certain direction, and we're feeling the inspiration, and then all of a sudden the ego puffs up, and it's do we really need to do that? It justifies it away, or it might come in and scare you out of taking that leap of faith, right? So part of Passover is to remember that when the Israelites, which we, are part of all of our souls were part of that group, when we were enslaved and we couldn't leave that slavery on our own, we didn't have the strength to do it on our own, the Creator came in and moved on our behalf. And so this is about letting go and letting God and like surrender and having that humility that like, I can't do this on my own. Like I've tried to do it on my own and it is too hard. And so I need you to help me. I need you to help me get out of Egypt before it's too late. Because the Zohar says that the Israelites they were almost in the 50th level of negativity. And if they had gone any more into hopelessness and despair, and kind of giving in to their enslavement, that they would have been stuck there forever. They would have been slaves forever. So miraculously, God showed up and did what the Israelites couldn't do on their own. And so they were freed. And initially they had all these experiences with miracles because they were unified and they had such fresh faith and everything was flowing in a miraculous way. They were like immortal, for a period of time. But the thing is that their negativity and their doubts and all of these things started creeping back in again, and that severed them from that miraculous connection. And the reason being is that they didn't make the internal change and the vibrational change needed to really manifest a change in their situation. God came in and intervened in that divine intervention and tried to save them, even though they didn't ask. They didn't have enough like positivity to ask. They didn't even want to leave. They're like, but God knew, like, you're going to get stuck here. I'm going to move you out of this. Like, I don't like to intervene because when I give you something you don't earn, it gives you bread of shame and then you have to go through a process. But I have to. We're in dire straits. And so basically what happened was that, yes, the Israelites were taken out of slavery, and they were given the Torah, and they were given the 72 names of God, and they could have like really dug into the relationship with God and the covenant and gotten, like came together in unity and taken on the mysteries of the Torah and embraced it fully and been basically living in a magical, miraculous existence. But instead, they hadn't earned that. They hadn't truly changed. And so they kind of backslid back into griping and this and that, and no judgment to them because we're the same, right? I was laughing at myself one not Passover, it was Rosh Hashanah recently, when it's like you go through like days and days of like ritual and prayer, and you're like, I want to change. You go through a whole month of teshuvah, and it's like everything's wonderful. You just come through this beautiful 4 days of like ritualing, and then I had to go to like run out to the grocery store like literally moments after like I completed the ritual, and the second I got to the grocery store, it's like people are in my way. I'm getting impatient. I'm like, I'm a wretch. Like nothing like lasts 5 minutes until I go into public, right? So yes, oh my God, y'all won't believe the card that was with this. Does that say separation? It's like severing the connection. So when we are in unity and wholeness and oneness and there's harmony, then we have that connection to that divine support of the Creator. But when we get on our bullshit and the negativity comes in and we're either fearful or judgmental or condemning or hostile, very hostile a lot, it separates that connection. And it cuts us off from that flow of blessing, right? And it cuts us off from that realm of miracles and immortality. So too in our life, when we get light we haven't earned, we might get a temporary boost or reprieve, but shortly thereafter, it's like we end up having to re-earn that light because we kind of like slide back into our old habits, our old patterns. And so we get a taste of it, and we get the initial like, oh, okay, oh my gosh, this is possible. I've witnessed this. I know it's possible for me now. I know what exists. But then it's up to us, like when you to like make the change to really have the foundation and the real transformation, not just put on a temporary like costume or vestment that's going to come right off again, but to truly embody it. It's kind of like when we manifest something in our life that we haven't really built the vessel for. Like we don't have enough desire for the thing. We haven't had to work hard enough to earn it, so that when it actually comes into our life, we appreciate it so much that we continue to make an effort to sustain that light, whether it be a second chance at things, or new habits, or an opportunity at work, or maybe you won some money that you didn't actually have to earn, and then you actually squander it, right? So it's like a lot of times you can fulfill the manifestation, or like you finally get that relationship that you wanted. But if you're not ready, if you're not prepared, if the vessel hasn't been prepared and built, then there's nothing to sustain it. And so you might manifest the thing you want, but you don't have the fulfillment of the manifestation. It doesn't last, it's not sustainable, and you can get the thing, but it doesn't deeply fulfill you inside. Whereas if you build the vessel and it comes in the right timing and you've earned that light that's being revealed, then you appreciate it. Then you've built the foundation, you've put the bones up, the structure to build on, and it's sturdy and it's strong and it's true and it's authentic. So the Israelites had their relationship. They were brought out of Egypt, and the first utterances in the 10 Commandments that God gave them was, hello, nice to meet you. I am your Hashem, your Elohim. I am the one who brings you out. I am your God, your only God, one and only. I am that which sustains you and brings you out, and I am here to want a personal one-on-one relationship with you, and I'm going to give you these tools. And here's basically how you have to handle things to keep this covenant and keep this connection solid with me. And if you're in this connection, then you're going to be living in the realm of miracles, and you are going to be miraculously healed of any ailments, and you're going to be perfectly healthy and thriving and fulfilled and sustained and taken care of. But if you turn against one another, and you are pit against one another, and you are fighting and negative, and you doubt me, and you start looking for instant gratification rather than long-term fulfillment, and you turn to the golden calf for material sort of guarantees and not believe in me and have faith, then all of that is going to vibrationally just sever the connection, because there's not going to be like a matching signal. It's not going to be the same frequency. So it's going to cut you off from that flow. So this is what we are learning and practicing this week. It's like this week we really can, all this soul searching that we've been doing through Pisces season, through Lenten season, all of these things, they prepare us for this moment to say, okay, what is this darkness and negativity that I've been seeing in myself come up recently? And what do I want to let go of? What do I want to release? What do I want to be free of? What Egypt, what Pharaoh am I leaving, right? What has bound me? What am I what chains am I breaking free from with the help of the Creator in this miraculous window of time where God moves the barriers that are normally drawing that veil between that direct connection with the light. Certain times of year, we have these cosmic gates that are open to us that we can connect with. And, we prepare ourselves ahead of time. If they were just open all the time, we'd take them for granted like we do everything else, right? But there's specific gates, and it gives us time to prepare and to think about it, right? So what are you wanting to be free from, right? What are you wanting to liberate your soul from and not be torn down by or dragged down by anymore? What's holding you back, right? And it can be a spiritual thing. It can be a personality thing. It can be, it's probably both. It can be a mundane physical things, right? Usually the mundane things are connected to the spiritual things, right? So you think about that. And this is a week for real healing and miracles. But our consciousness is going to set the scene. Our consciousness either connects us with our blessings or severs us from our blessings. All right, what do we have here? Oh my gosh, humanity. So this is like our tikkun olam, the collective correction of our collective soul and our human story that we've been on together from the beginning, right? We are, yes, individuals, but no man is an island. We're all interconnected. Recently, with all the Gerald the Dolphin stories floating around, and there's been a lot of focuses on porpoises, and somebody was talking about whales, and they were saying it probably applied to dolphins. I can't remember exactly what this was, but it sounded like it made sense. When you hear something, you're like, okay, this is definitely not a scientific proven thing that I'm watching. This is not a scientist, it's just somebody's talking. But then you're like, you know what though? I feel truth in that. I feel like this could be true. So I think they were talking about communicating with whales, and the whales and the dolphins are telepathic. I mean, we know that scientifically. And the whale, though, was somehow communicating with the person, and the whale was explaining that the reason why they are so good at telepathy is because they're essentially one organism, like a hive mind kind of thing. They're all one, but they have individual bodies. They share a consciousness, and they know they share a consciousness, but they also have their own individual vehicles through which they operate and do their thing. That is absolutely true of the human soul, of the human soul collective, of the human soul family. We are a pod. We are connected through our soul, through our consciousness. We're just not aware of it, except women are. Because we know, you can look at a woman and just another woman and be like, you just have to look and you're having a whole conversation. So we know that we are able to do this, but I don't think we realize how the fact that it's already wired, we're already doing it, we're just not aware of it. We're not able to control it yet. And thank God, because historically, human beings have uncovered capacities and technologies faster than we've had the ethics and moral fiber to actually do things the right way. And it's always ends up being weaponized and corrupted. But humanity, slowly but surely, is awakening, and we are evolving, and it's so uncomfortable right now because you can see the stark difference between what is light and what is dark, and what is gonna fly and what is not gonna pass. Bullshit meter is off the charts, right? So people are waking up to the point, and so the things are very, very polarized right now, because it's people are at their worst or people are getting better, but there's very little in between, and there's not a lot of a gray veil across anything anymore. It's everything's just so apparent. So this is a process that humanity is going through together. And it's part of our collective soul correction. And in even everything going on right now that it's so unpleasant, so distressing, things had to come out in the open so that they would be exposed, right? Even though I can't stand the president and this administration, I can see how it had to happen, or else we would have never uncovered the actual levels of evil and wickedness that were just festering within your average everyday person walking down the street. We wouldn't have known that we would have still kind of been passing around rumors of conspiracies, but we wouldn't have known all of the sinister horrors and evil that was just going on unchecked. So at least now there's no, denying that it's there, and we know that it's there now. Now it's like, hey, can we do something about this, please? And obviously it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of process for due process and justice and to be served. And at least in this country, so many other people have been held accountable in other countries, but I don't think that CEOs being forced into early retirement is good enough. Like, it's not. You're just like, oh, I guess I'll just I live and relax in my comfort and with all my riches that were, taken on the backs of absolute, torture on people. You know what I mean? So it's like humanity is coming together in the masses, caring for one another. And this isn't just about, having an easier life for the self anymore, but I think we're all becoming truly, truly more awakened to other people's plight, and we're more concerned than ever for one another. I mean, with the war going on right now, no one on earth wants to be in this war except for the few psychopaths that started it. I don't believe that the country of Iran has any beef with the American people at all. I don't. I don't actually feel any fear from them as far as retaliation on our mainland. I don't think that there's any real threat there. I think that if anything happens, that it's probably cooked up in a scheme. So humanity is awakening, and this is good. And everything that we do to try to transform ourselves adds to the collective tikkun. It adds to the big cosmic scale. You guys see my scales back there that are weighing out light versus darkness in the universe. And although all that darkness is going on the side of judgment and negativity, every time good people are doing things to transform themselves and reveal more light within themselves. Every time bad people decide to, I want to change, especially when especially when you struggle with your bad side and you decide to change that, it's difficult. That adds, that takes off some of the darkness and moves it over to the light. And especially if someone's a real shit and they change and they become awakened and a good person and a person of faith, and they become a believer, then that moves huge amounts. It transforms huge amounts. So what we do, the actions that we take, do have a cosmic effect on the cosmic bank account balance. And so the positive actions that we do, and the sharing actions, and the actions where we actually sacrifice our own ego, that actually tips the scale more than anything. And it reveals more light, and it actually helps the fate of mankind more than you know. You think, why am I doing all this work when I'm just it just doesn't feel like I'm making a difference? What does it matter? Why do I matter? I'm not going to make a difference in the world. Actually, you do make a difference in the world. You do. It makes a huge difference. It's when you find out that a seat got flipped in a vote, and the vote was by a very narrow margin, and you're like, oh my God, if only a few people hadn't shown up to vote, it would have gone a completely different way. And it's it's those times where you realize that each person really does make a difference. It really does matter. So I love this. The last card that came up with humanity is Earth. And so this is the material realm, Malchut, where all of the spiritual truth is crystallized in physical form. So this is the universe. This is all of the earth. This is the manifestation of our soul's expression in this world. So all this light coming through, everything that we're willing to change, and all the effort that we make to make change and to do the transformation and not go back into our old habits and old attitudes and old storylines, all that effort, it adds to the positive material change that we're going to start seeing. Yes, we've done a lot on the inside, and we do feel like new people. I feel like a completely different person than I was months ago or a year ago, sometimes even weeks ago, right? And so all of that will be made evident. Like, our physical circumstances will begin to change. We will begin to see the fruits of these changes. It's just that we have to have faith within the gap where there's a lag, because we're living in the physical realm where there's time and space. And so we have to wait for it all to catch up a little bit. So it's like, while we are, already ready for, the next world that we're going to be living in to be made manifest to us, we have to wait for the universe to get the parts and the pieces in order. It's like we've put the order in, and now we're waiting on it to be shipped from China and go through all the customs and like all the million different sorting centers. Like, we're waiting on our new life to show itself and to show signs of life coming through. But I believe that beautiful things are coming, that new abundance, new blessings are on the way, new experiences, new people, new relationships, new friendships even. But I think that we need to start speaking these into being. It's like our consciousness first, things grow out of our thoughts, right? These are healthy trees growing up here. So beautiful, healthy trees. Remember the ego card where it's got the skull with the weeds growing out? This is the opposite. Look, we have trees that are rooted in the earth and grounded in our in faith and in our understanding and our relationship with the Creator, with God. And then our roots hold us down, and they hold us into the earth, so the winds of change and circumstance don't blow us over, right? But then our branches reach high, and we reach for that higher divine guidance and inspiration, higher understanding, higher truth, not just the truth of, the level where the animals are, right? Where our carnal instincts are scurrying around the ground, trying to survive, right? We want to go higher than that. That's what our human gift and our purpose is. So higher consciousness brings in greater thoughts, and greater thoughts become crystallized into spoken words, right? We need to speak these blessings into our life, speak our life full of goodness and well-being and fulfillment and peace. All right, so I think good things are taking shape, even though these have been incredibly challenging times. But if we keep the faith and we try to foster unity, and I know that I'm wretched. I don't know about you. I'm hostile. I'm like tearful in the morning, hostile by lunch. Oh, but I keep trying, I keep praying, keep faithful, keep coming back. And it's that effort, that faithfulness, even in our fumbling and our folly, that continues to give us one more stepping stone of grace, right? So keep your heart in it. Keep trying. Don't judge yourself for being a miserable wretch. Just try to do better. All right, y'all. Peace. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao. Oh, tomorrow will be our weekly anchor message if you're new. Anchor messages are at the beginning of the week, and that kind of gives us the more specific spiritual lessons that are coming about And then on Tuesdays, we do a manifestation reading, and Wednesdays are the weekly alchemy message, and those are sort of where we unpack how we are approaching the work, like we're alchemists. And then Thursday is our romance love reading for the week to check in with ourselves about how we're approaching our love lives. And then Friday is kind of a reflection message where we go back through the week and all the things that we've been learning and working through and with, and we kind of get to the bottom of that. So Saturday night is Secret Teachings of Jesus, where we study out of the Gnostic Gospels. And then Sunday is our weekly energy oracle forecast. It's like the spiritual weather forecast for the week. So these are videos that I make at night on those days, but when I can, I make them earlier during the afternoon. But if you want to see the messages earlier on, you can follow me on Instagram, where I post them as a blog with a photograph and a written article, and you can kind of like start thinking about the concepts earlier. And those I usually post around like midday on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And my Instagram is Liz_Taylor_magic. And on Instagram too, like my stories are fun. I share funny things or interesting things or terrifying things, whatever I'm curating. I kind of think of my social media as like my own sort of like media network, and Instagram is sort of like if I were a magazine editor or something like that these are the things that I curate. Sometimes I have like personal stuff and stories of what I'm doing, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't, but it's always entertaining. All right, you all, that is all for tonight. Peace.